Hi everyone, welcome to our Chat and Vibe series for the Vitality Festival, which is coming up. We're due to start on October the 31st, and we've got 9 incredible days filled with amazing speakers in the health and wellness field. Everything is for free. It's a virtual event, and we would love you to join us. We've got so many incredible speakers, all giving you fantastic hints and tips and examples of habits that you can use to allow yourself to come out of the COVID cocoon and just enjoy life a little bit more. And today we've got with us Simon Osborne. Hi Simon, how are you today?
Hi, Tanya. I'm fantastic, thank you. And you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Like we just were talking about, enjoying this stunning day.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
It's only going to get better from here through the summer. Wonderful.
Yeah, we love that. So Simon, tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, my working life began working in industrial relations. So I had a real interest in trying to create a change in the old traditional combative industrial relations environment, and I was involved in a whole range of projects to create. It was through a federal government program called Working Together, and it was about getting employers, employer associations, unions, talking about how to create a better environment for workplaces. I guess I eventually gave up on that, and I really moved into what I now call creating amazing workplaces, away from the industrial relations environment, away from the tensions of that, towards working directly with organisations and people to help them understand that there's some really powerful things that organisations can do to engage employees, to have people coming to work actually really wanting to be at work. And some people say to me, "Oh yeah, but when it's really high pressure, like the sort of environment that a lot of health care workers and frontline people are facing these days, there's sometimes an expectation that it's going to have to be horrible, but it doesn't. But there's a lot of really amazing stuff that people can do in terms of creating constructive leadership practices, developing trust. Trust is so important, but it so often it just goes by the wayside because people make snap decisions without consulting their colleagues. I attended a webinar today about the response to the COVID pandemic in the western and northern suburbs of Melbourne. Some great stories of collaboration in the health sector between the Primary Health Network and Royal Melbourne Hospital, and some of the things they did, very collaboratively to really step in and both care about patients and consumers, but also really deal with the pandemic, the crisis, the health crisis itself. So that's the space that I like to work in, but creating amazing workplaces.
I think that's so important at the moment. So many of the points that you touched on, particularly the trust, there's a lot of fear going on around the place. And I know that when we were doing the research behind putting this event on, one of the things that we found is people are worried about going back into a working environment with other people. So, rebuilding that trust, I think, between people, it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a heap of research around about things like the extent to which leaders create trust, the extent to which leaders and organisations live their values, the extent to which really effective goals are set and people sort of know what they're aiming for and they get engaged in those goals, and people really want to see their organisation succeed. And as soon as the goal setting starts to be a bit iffy and they're not quite sure what they're aiming for, and people aren't consulted, they're just told at the last minute what they're expected to do, it makes it really hard for people to commit and say, I love working here. And I really get a real buzz when I hear people say to me, I just love working here. It's, I do a little tap dance in the head. It's so exciting.
And I think our environment is really important. I think it's really undervalued today because, you know, the environment is really what holds us. It's kind of, you know, the casing. And whether we're at our home environment, which a lot of us are at the moment, or when we're at work, you know, that will really dictate the energy, really, I guess, that's available to people, and the way, you know, we're sitting in it, we're submerged in that environment.
Absolutely. The whole, in my way of thinking, the whole well-being piece for people at work is about energy. It's the energy that we've got to deal with all the stuff that's thrown at us day by day. And when our energy is greater than the stuff being thrown at us, we're going to be well. We're going to enjoy being at work. We're going to be challenged. It's not to say that it's an easy life and we're all happy clappy all the time. I mean, there's always going to be challenges, but it's that capacity to really build that energy. I love that word, that energy in an organisation to say, we can do this. We can get there with this. I actually did some work with a not-for-profit organisation up in northern New South Wales recently, where the operations manager moved in, and people were not motivated. They were, you know, they were what I call suffering from presenteeism. They're there, they're working, but their hearts and minds aren't there. They're not really committed. And he's done some great work, and we did a series of little 1.5 hour, what I call forums, where we got talking about leadership. And leadership doesn't have to be a position, doesn't have to be the person in charge. Leadership happens at all levels of an organisation. And when organisations can see this and can grow that passion and that leadership of people, and that's what this organisation did, and they've received massive accolades. I work in the disability sector, and they've received massive accolades for the way they've responded to the COVID crisis and provided amazing programs for their disability service clients. And that's what happens. It's that amazing sort of outcomes, and people start to say, "Wow," because it's possible.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's when your environment at work is really good, and you've got good leaders. People want to go. They want to put more in. You get more out of yourself. You get more out of your team. You know, it's production and productivity at work really soars, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely, and it's that. As soon as people start worrying about, are we being efficient? You know, can we afford this time? We start checking off costs. So, gee, this person's got to do training. Gee, how much is that going to cost? Rather than start to think of it as an investment, and rather than think of it as, wow, what can we do with this? This is extraordinary if we can just leverage this. So it's that shift from worrying about the cost of it to saying, what can we benefit? How can we grow?
And I think that's really indicative of the times at the moment, because it's got to do with our mindset, you know, whether it's in the work environment or with the pandemic that's going on. It's really our mindset that's going to decide how we're going to interpret the situation. Absolutely. And that's really what you're talking about in your upcoming talk at the Vitality Festival. You're doing a presentation on building a positive mindset for uncertain times.
Absolutely. And it's very easy to allow ourselves to get caught up in the sort of fluster and blurry of all the bad news, and watching the coronavirus numbers every day and worrying about whether we're going to get out of lockup. And the mindset bit's about starting to say, so what are my thinking processes? How can I reframe this? How can I look at this differently? And even to the extent of being able to look out of the window and say, hey, it's a beautiful sunny day today, rather than looking out of the window and saying, I can't walk more than 5 kilometres. And it's the mindset. I want to talk to people about the mindset of self-care, because self-care is so very, very important. And especially for frontline workers in this space, they spend all their time caring for others. And it's not selfish, it's not hedonistic, it's not bad to take care of oneself. And part of that's mindset, and part of it's the actions we take. And the third bit is that I want to talk to people about is the mindset we bring to change, because it's very easy to get caught into a very fixed mindset in terms of change rather than a growth mindset, rather than saying, wow, where are the opportunities in this? It might be uncomfortable. It might be hell on a stick for a while I get used to it. But I've got so much that we can pick up from it.
And so they're kind of little ABCs that people can do to start pivoting their mindset to move them into, reframing the world in a positive way rather than always trying to escape from what they don't want.
I'm probably giving it away if I told you the secrets now, but
but
yeah,
that's something that people can expect to get from coming to your workshop.
I'll certainly be talking to people about learning how to pick when they are in that self-defeating mindset, learning, picking the physical signs, because what happens is that when we get in, it's a bit, it's the boiling frog is what I often compare it to. As we get into this space and we don't realize that we're self-sabotaging. And I'll talk to people about how you can step back, start to actually sort of see what is it that triggers my my habit. It's just a habit. What triggers my habit to self-sabotage, to see the bad side of it, to feel the downward pressure, rather than to accept that and step back and say, okay, wow, I just realized where my mind was going. I don't want to go there anymore. I don't want to do that to myself. It's really uplifting for colleagues when they see someone go through that process. It's quite momentary, and I've seen people do it in really stressful environments, and their colleagues talk to them and say, wow, how did you do that? A few tricks to actually start that spark, to actually recognise when I am letting myself go into that space.
I think it's important for people to know, some people are born with that positive mindset, and other people, it's something that they need to learn.
Yeah,
I think it's really important. Yeah, and people need to understand that they can learn it.
Absolutely.
As soon as they recognise that their mind isn't serving them, they can actually take steps to turn that around, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely right. And I often have discussions with clients when I'm talking through this stuff about whether it's genetic or it's learned behaviour. In the end, it doesn't really matter, but I think it's probably learned behaviour. And it's that anything we can learn, we can unlearn.
And I think that feeds into what we were talking about before with the environment, because sometimes it's our environment that dictates whether we're going to be interpreting things in a positive way or a negative way. Yeah. And, I think with the current environment, with all the fear, I think particularly for hospital staff, there's a lot of extra stress there. It can tend to really overshadow the way people may have normally seen things. Yes. Whereas, if we stand strong, then we can really sort of turn that around with our own positive thoughts. We can do that. We can affect our environment, can't we?
Absolutely. And I mean, I use a 360-degree feedback tool as a basis of my coaching. And there are plenty of people who, basically the tool provides people with feedback about where their thinking is, whether it's defensive or constructive. And there are plenty of people who see a whole lot of defensive thinking that they're involved in, and say to me, "Oh, but I have to be like that. That's the way my job makes me, or that's the way my boss makes me." And it's really exciting when I can talk to them about, no, you choose to do that. You can actually change that, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you can learn to pick that moment when you start to say, "Oh, gee, this is terrible." No, it's not. No, I'm not going to listen to that. It's a little voice on the shoulder, that little person sort of saying, "It's terrible. You've got to be upset about this. This is really bad. This is awful." No, go away. No, I'm not listening to that anymore. I'm going to there is something I can do to change that.
One question I like to ask myself is, how do I want it to be instead? If I'm thinking in a negative way, or I'm finding myself in a situation that I don't want to be in, is just to ask myself, how do I want it to be instead, and start working towards that.
Absolutely, yeah. What would better look like? Even if it's not perfect, what would better look like?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and the response, but what if it goes wrong? And then my response to that is, well, what if it doesn't?
Very, very true.
We can get into that negative, that spiral. Sort of,
yeah, it's like a feedback loop, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
And tell me, Simon, with all the challenges that you've had to deal with in the last, 6 or 7 months, maybe 8 months now, what would you say is the little gems that you found? You know, you're a positive mindset coach. You know, what is it that you've seen for you in this time?
I go for a walk every morning, and I've taken upon myself that it's 6:15 in the morning, 6 o'clock, 6:15. I've taken upon myself to say good morning to everyone I walk past. That lifts my spirits. It may not lift theirs. They may be wanting to concentrate on their walk and have this silly old bloke saying hello to them in the morning. But I am absolutely amazed the number of people who now, because it's the same people every morning on the track, who now say hello to me without me saying hello. And it's remarkably uplifting. Interaction with people is so important for us as human beings. We're designed to be beings with other people. We're not designed to be on our own. So I think for me, reaching out to people has been the thing that has saved my sanity. I've also completed an accreditation in the Global Leadership Wellbeing Instrument, which has been really fascinating, studying and learning about well-being and all the sort of new stuff that I've learned about well-being and how it's driven. So that's been a real mind saver for me too. I've been worrying about what work I haven't got and what things I'd like to be doing, to be focusing on, okay, well, here's something I can do. Here's something I can improve my mind with.
I think the connection is really important because, you know, we are kept away from each other. A lot of people are used to going in their work environments and, you know, having that daily interaction. But I think, you know, one thing I've seen is there's lots of different ways that we can reach out to each other. You know, like you said, on your walk, saying hello to people, and now that people expect they're sort of greeting you in the same way. You know, all this amazing Zooming and Google Meets and everything else that goes with that. And I think that was one of our real motivational points for really wanting to put on this Vitality Festival, is giving people a way to, you know, connect with other people again. You know, even if we can't be too close to each other, still being able to sort of see and interact and learn from each other. I think it's, you know, it's so important for people to remember to keep doing that.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's why things like your amazing festival is so good, because it does give people a chance to do this. It gives them a chance to learn new stuff, technical term, but it also gives them a chance to reconnect with people, and they may well reconnect with friends and colleagues who are part of the audience together that they haven't seen for a while, and that could be a real bonus for them.
Yeah. I think, you know, it's amazing. We've had people signing up in the UK, in Canada, in the Netherlands, Mexico, Israel, USA. I mean, we've had people signing up from all over the world. So it might be an opportunity to make some really interesting connections around the world.
Absolutely. That's quite right. That's great to see. And that's the beauty of the net. But it's just, you know, you put something out there and it's amazing who gets involved in it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Simon, for making time to have a chat with us today. We're really looking forward to attending your workshop at the Vitality Festival. Yeah. If you haven't registered already, please click on the link below, and I'll also include a link to Simon's website. So if you want to do some more work with him or find out about the upcoming courses and classes, so you can connect with him. So thank you so much, Simon. We wish you all the best and look forward to seeing you at the Vitality Festival.
I'm totally pumped. Looking forward to it. See you there.
Bye.
Bye.